Hi, everyone. Mitch from SportsChatPlace.com and PickDogs.com here with your daily live show. Of course, no sports going on right now. There is that Nicaraguan basketball, I think, and we have Korean baseball. We got it all covered at SportsChatPlace and at PickDogs.com. So hopefully, if you're following the Korean baseball and ESPN is showing it, thousands of you tuning in to see what we have to say about it over at SportsChatPlace and PickDogs. So, of course, anything that is going on, the UFC fights this weekend, we do have it covered. But in the meantime, you guys know I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know when it comes to who's playing and who's not playing, because I know you guys are like me. Every hour or so, you're just refreshing ESPN just to see if they're reporting it. And, of course, we're not a news station. We're not going to ever claim to be. It's like, when Don Shula passed away, we weren't the first ones to say it, and that's why, we certainly didn't, act like it was breaking news or something, because it wasn't, It was breaking news for somebody else when they reported it. But that has nothing to do with anything. Of course, we're just working on a lot of the production quality of the show, and hopefully it is increasing each day. I forgot to put my little backlight on here, but there we go. Got the blue glow. Anyways, got, of course, Chris Ruffalo, the Puck Dog, Steve Monahan, and Rod Zawacki, the king of the birdcage and the mayor of Calgary. So, of course, what we're kind of talking about behind the scenes is like, what do we talk about on these shows? So if you guys have any ideas of what you want us to talk about on these shows, and I know what I want to talk about on the shows, sports picks, right? I want to give out picks to games, but we don't have any games to pick. So what we're going to do in the meantime is we're just kind of, like I said, working on things like production quality. And then, hopefully when things are ready to go, and we're just going to talk about some off topics and do things like that. But today's show, the topic's going to be rule changes in sports. We're going to talk. Steve and I are going to talk about football rule changes in college and NFL, both rule changes that have happened and rule changes that are potential or should happen. Then Chris and I are going to talk basketball, college, and NBA, and then Rod, NHL, and maybe we might even sprinkle in some baseball. But let me bring in Steve Monahan from Sports with Mono and Mono. Steve, how's it going today?
Good morning, Mitch. How are you?
Doing good. Got my new microphone finally from Best Buy, so hopefully my sound quality is a little bit better for everybody out there in YouTube world. And I know that these shows are, like I said, they're just not as fun when we're not doing picks. So, we appreciate everybody that tunes in. So just want to make a special announcement. Everyone that emails me in the next, it's 10:43 a.m. Eastern time. Everyone that sends me an email to mitch@pickdogs.com, send me your name, your address, and your shirt size, but I need to receive the email by 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today. So you got 15 minutes. Everyone that emails me in the next 15 minutes, free t-shirt, Pick Dogs. I'll send it out to everyone. I was going to do this as a giveaway for the premium area and March Madness and stuff like that. But instead, I'm going to do this just for the next 15 minutes. No, sorry, I missed it. No, I'm late. None of those things are going to fly. United States only, because the shipping is brutal. If you live outside of the United States and you want one, you can pay for the shipping. I'll send you the shirt. But it's only for the next 15 minutes. Like I said, Steve, we didn't even talk about this before the show, did we? And but this is the idea I had. What the hell? We're giving away t-shirts. So just for the next 15 minutes, though, Mitch@pickdogs.com. After that, we'll figure it out. We'll do more t-shirt giveaways and things like that. But mostly these are going to be associated with our new premium area and things of that nature. But anyway, Steve, welcome to the show. How is New Jersey today?
A little overcast, cloudy, but it's definitely springtime. And I think golf courses are starting to open up around here. I almost played Sunday, but then a little snafu on the schedule happened. But I'm looking to get out there. No carts, the whole thing, the social distancing. But here in New Jersey, it's still a hotbed of corona, but it seems like hopefully we're on the decline, and hopefully things are back to normal sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we have golf courses just opened here last Friday. You're allowed to ride in carts. We have carts. I mean, the courses here are super hilly, so way big. It's like you can walk some of them, but the courses are open. We have a 14-day quarantine here in Hawaii, so anyone that's visiting has to wait 14 days till they can go out. But the prices on the courses are outrageously cheap. Like, it's only, for locals, and they're doing this for the locals, the COVID special. So Kapalua, which normally is $349 to play, is $78 right now. And
wow.
It's only open, they open the Plantation course on Fridays and Saturdays, and the Bay course is open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's like just one course. And then Wailea is doing something similar where they're rotating their courses as well, but it's awesome. But anyways, let's get to these rule changes. There's been a lot of rule changes throughout the years, and we see some are for the good, some are for the not so good in the NFL. I've never been a fan of the clock rule changes. I think this is where the NFL usually misses the mark. Back when we were young, and this was a long time ago. We talked about Don Shula yesterday, but back when we were young, the game was still 60 minutes. The early game started at 1 o'clock Eastern time. The late game started at 4 o'clock Eastern time, and they rarely ran into each other. Half times were a half hour. The clock stopped every time a guy went out of bounds. The clock stopped every time there was an incomplete pass, just like college. And like I said, half times were 15 minutes. What happened? I mean, what are these, when is there going to be a rule change in the NFL that makes the game better? I think, what do you think's the worst rule change in the NFL?
Well, I think you hit it. I mean, I don't think anybody really knows anything about the clock, especially at the end of the games and the half. These runoffs with penalties.
The 2 minute warning now has become it's like they've taken the game away, the excitement of the last 2 minutes of the game.
To do the 2 minute warning, right, to finish the half or finish the game. I mean, 2 minutes. It's 20 minutes to a half an hour. But I think it's very jumbled what those rules are, especially with, penalties and the runoffs and things like that with the clock and things like that. So I think that's very confusing for the average fan.
It seems to me also is that,
I think it's actually confusing for the players on the field at times too.
One of the rules where college has it right and the NFL doesn't have it right is college reviews every single play, and the NFL doesn't. And I think that I think that in addition to in addition to the whole timeout thing and all that stuff, if the call is overturned, I think the referee should be held accountable here. I watched last night the 2004 Game 4 on ESPN, Red Sox, Yankees. This is what I do, right? I watched the game. Bernie Williams was clearly safe at third base. I mean, clearly. And this was a play that was a 2-3 run play. It was a difference. The whole series swung on it. The Red Sox won the World Series. I mean, it just seems like, well, the Yankees got the lead anyway on the next guy up, but they would have had 2 runs in, not one. And it would have been, a big difference. A big difference.
That's right.
It would have been totally different, clearly safe. But the umpire, no accountability. In that situation, baseball, we see, and we'll talk with Rod about this, but it seems to me that that's one place where they miss. And then, all of the rules, once again, towards the offense. It's like you can't touch the quarterback. Where exactly are you allowed to? Are you not allowed to tackle the quarterback?
It's not only that. I think the hardest position in NFL football now is being a defensive back. I mean, you can't even breathe on these receivers, and you're going to get a penalty. And when I, me and you grew up in the days of Mel Blount and, physical corners and, guys going over the middle and things like that. Now, I get the targeting, I get the headshots. I'm not a proponent of that. I mean, tackling doesn't have to be at the head. But, again, it's a passing league. But I just think the NFL defensive back probably has the hardest position in all of football because you just can't breathe on these guys. And then that leads to me saying, well, the debate has always been about pass interference. So if you're going to throw a 48-yard pass down the sideline and the guy makes a penalty, should it be a 48-yard penalty or Should it be a 15-yard penalty? Right? I mean
It's kind
that's
of
been a debate.
I think it should be like running. For me, it should be running into running into the punter, type deal
Right?
where there's the
College,
flagrant and then and then
way, and the NFL's the other way, right?
yeah, it's
But
like
the
there's.
NFL has always been that way. But I don't know.
I prefer the
You know,
15.
I think it's worth a debate to have that conversation. Is it really worth a 65-yard penalty, a 48-yard penalty, things like that?
Especially on a judgment call, especially
On a
because
judge,
you know,
right,
especially
right.
on that. So I'm with you, on that as well. I think there's a lot of changes that need to be made, here in the NFL and in college. So, I think that most of the problem has to do with the clock. Most of the problem has to do with the defense not being able to play defense. And they can argue safety all you want. They can argue that all they want, but everyone knows that it has more to do with like a million other things. It's usually money.
It's all about the money.
But I guess for some reason we're not live on the Pick Dogs channel, so we'll do the T-shirt tomorrow. Yeah, we're not on here. It's weird. I wonder what happened. It's weird, huh? We're not. There we go. But it's odd that we're not on that Pick Dogs YouTube. I'm not sure what happened. No, we are. Oh, I see what happened. I did that quick 10-second thing. I was on there for like 10 seconds, and then it messed this up there. All right, no big deal. I think if we're gonna mess it up, today was the day to do it. Anyways, we're gonna bring in Chris, and we'll have Steve back in just a little bit. There's a lot of things. I mean, I hammer this.
Yeah.
I hammer this stuff all the time, and I'm just glad that Andy Dalton is. I'm just glad that in Dallas, and I'm just glad he can play outside linebacker and fill in for Sean Lee.
Absolutely.
It's touching. we're gonna bring in Chris Ruffalo here, and we're gonna talk about. I think what's happening here is, and this is all part of the stuff that we're working on as far as like the tech side and all that stuff and the production that I was talking about. I've been talking about the last couple weeks, and we're going to continue talking about it as we go and as we start to change things. One of the issues that I have is that I'm using a computer that's a little on the older side for this show, and I'm only using it for this show. It's the only time I'm using it. And it's older, and I have another computer that I'm going to be using just for the show. And it's like it takes up so much resources. It's weird because Skype is the oldest of these. Skype is the oldest of these things, right? The oldest one of these online voice and video communication. Yet they use up a ton of CPU, like a ton, like the most of anything. And that's why, people prefer Zoom and stuff like that. So, yeah, and that's, I mean, it's basically just eats CPU. And that's why we got knocked off the air yesterday. And it's probably why we'll be continued to knock off the air until we get the new computer. And everything is back ordered that you try and order as far on the tech side. So, Chris, now that we've gotten that discussed, let's talk about rule changes in basketball. This is a sport that's got it right, okay? This is a sport that, in my book, they got it right. The NBA, when you inbound the ball closer to your side of the basket, you don't need the full 24 anymore, I love that. I like that college constantly reduced the shot clock. Reduced it again when they needed to. They moved the 3-point line back, all sorts of things like this, and even they use replay super effectively. I have to say that and this is the most common thing in basketball, the most common play. So the ball goes close to the sideline and 2 or 3 guys kind of swat at it and everyone tips it or whatever and they all point fingers at each other, right? I mean, how many times do we see this over the course of a basketball, not season, I'm talking about of a game, right? All day, all night long, right? And it's part of the game, because everyone's scrambling. These guys are intense. There's one ball, 5 super freak of athletes on each team, so you see it all the time. I think I'm about 2% correct on who it touched last. When I look at it, now that they have the replay on it, it certainly helps. And I'll tell you, even with the replay, I still can't get it. So, what do you think about the rule changes in the college? And I think in college, the rule changes are more have to do with the overall game itself, and that's like how old you have to be. How long you have to stay, and the NBA as well.
Yeah.
I think these are the rule changes where we're seeing the big things. But anyways, now that I've pretty much haven't let you get a word in edgewise, now I demand that you speak, Chris.
That's okay. I'm not sad about it, but no, I think you're right. I think any changes that have been made are for more of the what's I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for here. Like, you have the in-game changes. But the changes for the age requirements and how long you have to stay and stuff like that, it's going to be for the betterment of the game and so that you can keep some integrity in the game going forward. But as far as the in-game stuff, you're right. I think they have it pretty much spot on. There are a couple of things that I'd like to see tweaked here and there, but other than that, I think we're trying to get it closer to the NBA measurements for the on-court stuff, and I think the shot clock should be reduced a little bit. But
I think this is a good topic all the way around. And we're gonna have Rod in just a couple minutes, but I think this is a good topic all the way around. And I think one of the topics that we can do for this show, or we could even do a different sport every day, is kind of like the state of the game. What's the state of the game for baseball? What's the state of the game for this? Bundesliga is coming out, and maybe we'll get Goran to come on here or something. But it's like I think that would probably be an interesting show. Yes, it seems like a pretty good personality to have. But I think that these are all good topics. But I think, like I said, I think NBA and college hoops, I think they seem to have it right on the court, which is the most important part, which is where the NFL and college football has regressed in that area, and the NFL has swinging and missing, and baseball has gotten a lot better at it. They've gotten a lot better at it. And NHL, I don't know a ton of it, but we're going to talk about it in a second. But another one of the things, so the age requirement in the NBA, they kind of like, what they created was this one and done thing with college, and now some players are deciding not even to do that. I think this is an issue with the NBA, is this whole one and done. Also, how some teams play on back-to-backs, and they're playing against a team that's not on a back-to-back, and it's like there seems to be, it goes beyond home court advantage, where it's like, you have home court advantage where you have, the home crowd, but then you have the home court advantage where the other team is, home and then, playing in Miami in one night and LA the next. It seems that, I know that that's extreme, but you see, sizable distance with games. These NBA games, they end late, and I don't feel sorry for the NBA players. I mean, they wouldn't trade their job for anything in the world. I know that, and I also know that they're in general fairly well compensated for their job as well.
No, I mean, you know what? To your point, it's like these guys know what they signed up for when they decided to join the league, when they decided to go professional. And I mean, I like the balance that college shows, where you have leagues that play on certain nights, or you have a certain number of time between games. It's the only league that I can remember seeing outside of conference tournaments is the Ivy League, but that's because they place academics at the forefront. I mean, if you look at the NBA, it's like you said, they have the back-to-back scenarios, and sometimes they're not the most fair, but I mean, it's like you said, this is what these guys signed up for.
the two sports that I think get it right though. Anyways,
Yeah.
we're gonna come back with some sim picks. We're kind of just looking for stuff to talk about. If people have a topic they want us to cover, by all means, post it in the Facebook group or shoot me an email to mitch@pickdogs.com. I'm gonna post this in the Facebook group as well. That if people have a topic they want us to talk about, by all means, let's do it. We're gonna bring in. I'm gonna cut back. We're gonna bring in Rod, and Rod, we're going to talk about some NHL, what the rule changes have been in recent years, what rule changes are maybe on the way, how they can improve it. Rod, what do you think with the NHL? I know that a few years ago they moved the lines around on the ice. They changed.
Yeah, they got rid of the.
They changed the.
There's no 2-line pass anymore.
Right.
There used to be a 2-line pass.
But didn't they
Like, if you
move
went over
where
the
the actual
red line-
lines? Didn't they move where the lines sit on the ice as well? Like the lines are in a different.
Yeah, there was some changes there to where they moved the lines, but that was all over. There's no 2-line pass anymore. Like you can, it's just the offside. They used to have that red line in the middle, and now they don't have that red line in the middle. So if you passed the puck from this end and it went over a blue line over a red line, it was a 2-line pass. The ref blew it dead. So basically, that was a good rule change they got rid of to speed the game up. So that was a good rule change.
Yeah, playoff. So with me, hockey seems to have a different set of rules for the playoffs in the regular season. It's not a written rule. I don't think they have it in writing, but it seems that it seems they play by different rules in the playoffs than in the regular season. I'm not a hockey fan. I mean, the whole reason why we started having the Puck Dogs on the show, the whole reason how they came about on my show, which I did by myself for a long time, right? A couple of years at least, more than that, right? And I did my videos always by myself for years. But the reason why we brought the Puck Dogs in is because people asked about hockey, and I knew so little about it. I mean, I didn't even know nothing. I knew negative, right, about hockey. So we brought the Puck Dogs in, and these guys, obviously they know their stuff, but I can add, and that's what I do, but it's like I'm not really sure. In here, it just seems, why is playoff hockey so much different than the regular season? Why? I mean, do the guys skate longer shifts, the good guys, or do the bad guys get better for the? I don't know why is this? It's like I don't watch hockey. But I think the NHL playoffs is the best playoffs of any sport when it comes to the level of play. I think the NHL playoffs and the NFL playoffs are the polar opposites. These are the polar opposites. The NFL playoffs become this convoluted mess, which is usually decided by a call that's so bad that it's not covered by instant replay. That's what the NFL playoffs have become. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, the NHL. It's like you hear more pucks banging off crossbars. I mean, it's just up and down action, and it is just, what is it?
Because the ref turns a little bit more of a blind eye in the playoffs, because that's what we want. It's been the tradition of hockey for how long? Let the teams actually play and not let a ref decide who's going to win this game. So for the ref to actually make a call, it's got to be really blatant. And so if it's ticky-tacky either way, the ref will just let it go by. So he'll try to do the same thing for both teams. That's why hockey playoffs are the way they are. They just let them beat each other up.
To me, what also makes the NHL a little bit more special than the other sports and what differentiates it, and especially in the postseason, is in the NFL, you want to win the Super Bowl. And it's really about the game. And the players will pass the trophy around, they'll hang it, they'll look at it, whatever. But you never hear, it's referred to as the Lombardi Trophy. But that's when people are sick of saying the word Super Bowl, right? Playing for the Lombardi Trophy. It's like because they're sick of saying Super Bowl. In baseball, I don't even know what they name the damn trophy. My guess is in baseball, of all sports, they probably would sell it out to a sponsor tomorrow if they could, and if they haven't already, right? And yeah. in college basketball, in college football, in college football they've upgraded the trophy, but it used to just be a wood plaque, like the one that they give out in college hoops. Like they win the championship and they bring out the trophy. It's like this wood plaque right on a wood stand. It's like, and and the thing is, like, I'm from Miami, so it's like, well, people will say, oh, this, that, or whatever. Back in the day, they always, badmouth my Hurricanes, and I would always say to them, and they would talk about, like, oh, yeah, Michigan is so great and all this stuff. And I said, well, come down and look at our trophy case down in Coral Gables, and we could have this discussion, But a lot of the trophies are like those wooden ones. And now they have, like, these very fancy BCS or whatever national championship trophies, these crystal footballs. We have one of those, but with all our championships. But anyways, it just, to me, where I'm going with this is that in the NHL, it is the Stanley Cup. And it is not really ever referred to as winning the championship or being the champions. It's always the Stanley Cup champions. And when these guys get that cup in their hands, it is a different picture than what you see when the guy raises the Super Bowl trophy. It's just a different thing, man. And it's like when they when they skate with the cup around in their, and this is my skating around with the cup pose right here. But when some guys will do a couple. They'll do a couple of these. They pass it around and everybody skates around. I know in Chicago, when the Blackhawks won the cup, not the first time ever, obviously, but the first time with the guys, with Kane and Taves and this, and they hadn't won it in forever. The cup was everywhere around town, and they shared it with everybody. And I'm going to guess that the cup had more ding repairs that year than most years. I know the cup always has a ton of repairs because everyone does, brings it with them to picnics
Ovechkin broke the cup, so Washington has the record for breaking the cup. They broke the cup, literally. They broke it a couple times, I think, over their celebration of carrying the cup here and carrying the cup there.
Well, someone is saying they can't hear me, and I'm going to guess they don't have their sound on because that's the only person that has said they can't hear me.
Can't hear you. Huh.
Yeah, that's weird. It's a weird comment.
For rule changes that we're talking about, in 1956,
I thought the replay in NHL was massive. For the goals.
Yeah, that was a huge replay. That was a good replay. The power play. What happens is you get 2 minute power play. You go on the power play. If you score on that power play, the guy that got the penalty gets to come out of the box. They changed that rule in 1956, 1957. I think you should stay in the box. You get your 2 minutes. You do your 2 minutes. Why? Because you give up a goal, you get to come out early? No. I think you should stay in the box. You get 2 minutes, you get 2 minutes. Get your butt in the box.
I like it. And that would also increase scoring in games. But it might make the games a little less competitive, depending on who it is.
Yeah.
Depending on who it is.
Then they have this weird one they've been waffling for years on whether they make a 2-point goal. If you score a goal from this side of the blue line and you score on the goalie, you can they'll count that as two points. So same will go as an empty net goal. So like if you're the team and you're down by a couple goals, and you're trying to score, well, if the other team scores an empty net, it still counts as 2 goals. I don't know how that would be. I don't know if I like that rule, but they've been waffling whether they have that rule or not. Have a 2-point, like the NBA, a 3-point shot. Well, they're looking at like an NBA 2-point goal.
Not so sure I like that.
No, I don't like it. That's why they've been waffling over for years.
I'd like to eliminate the shootout in the NHL. I think they should just play it out.
Play it out. Well, they used to just play 5 minutes. There was never no shootout. They played 5 minutes, and if nobody won, it was a tie.
I don't want that either. Because then most of the time they just play for the tie. That's the reason why they got rid of that, is because they just figure, well, we're good. It's like
yeah, we got our point.
Yeah, we're good. It's like now it's now it's like they give them the incentive, but I don't love the shootout. I don't love the college football tiebreaker, and I don't love the NFL tiebreaker system. I think the NFL tiebreaker system is better than it used to be, but I don't think it's any good. But anyways, speaking of rule changes, I'm going to bring the guys back in here. Chris Ruffalo and Steve Monahan. And Chris, what I've heard floating around, and this means nothing to me, is that they've changed it to rookie mode from Madden mode. What does that mean?
It just means that it's gone from the most difficult setting to the easiest setting. But to tell you the truth, watching these sim games, I haven't noticed a difference. To be honest with you, I think that means more if you're playing against the computer, but I'm not seeing anything.
So you're watching sim games. Would you say you might have a problem? Like, it's like, I don't know.
I literally just leave it on in the background while I'm doing work.
Sure you do. Sure you do. That's what I said about the Troy at Idaho game that I was watching on ESPN3, and my wife asked me what the hell I was watching. Why I needed the iPad out with the computer and 4 TVs all going at the same time. I said, I'm watching the Idaho Troy game. She said, I'm going out. I said, that's when I said to her, holy shit, it's Al Groh. She's like, that means nothing to me. I'll be at the beach. It means nothing to me. I immediately texted Steve. I'm like, I see Groh. It's like, if you're wondering where
Al Groh sighting.
If you're wondering where Al Groh is, turn on ESPN3. He's at the Kibbe Dome watching the game.
The old Cowan Spectrum.
So how did we do yesterday? Who won yesterday in these Sims games?
The Cardinals beat the Browns outright 31-19.
The Cardinals.
Seahawks beat the Bears 26-17. The Panthers beat the 49ers outright 46-27. And the Saints beat the Broncos 45-34.
So I was 3-1. I was 3-1 yesterday. Mine.
I was 2-2.
Boom.
I think I went
how do you like that for the autofocus? This is definitely one of the cool features of this camera. It's got the auto focus. I love that. All right, let's get to some picks.
All right, so 12 Eastern, Browns at Bills in a pick'em, over under 54.5. I like the Browns.
I'm going to go with the Bills. I know the Browns are killer at this game, but I took them yesterday and they lost. They're on a back-to-back. I just think that they got to be a little bit sore.
But they're on rookie mode now, right? So they're rookies. They're all rookies. Browns are rookies now. They're not all Madden.
But they're back. They're on the back-to-back and on the road end of the back-to-back.
Yeah.
3 Eastern, Eagles at Lions. Eagles -6, over under 54.5. I like the Eagles.
The Lions.
I can't. I just hate them both so much. I can't even bet simulated Matt Patricia. I'm going to go with the Eagles here as much as I can't stand Carson Wentz. And I think Doug Peterson might need an attitude adjustment. Rod with the penny flip.
The Eagles -6.
There it is. Yeah, I think Doug Peterson is one of those coaches that could learn a few things from the Don Shula stories.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you're not right.
Okay, 7 Eastern, Seahawks at Steelers. Seahawks -3, over under 55.
Steelers, money line.
Steelers, money line.
Seahawks?
Yeah.
I like the Seahawks.
Yeah, I like the over here.
Seahawks are on the back-to-back and on the road, but it's like they won for me yesterday. I'm just going to ride that horse into the ground.
Yeah, Carroll's going to nice and
even in the regular games, I always take the Seahawks. I love Clappy. Does he clap in the sim games? I love Clappy.
He does.
Yeah, I think
he does.
It's like, great job. It's like they get the field goal blocked. It's like.
Yesterday you got Matt Nagy doing the clap too on the Bears sideline, trying to mock him.
Really? They ran. It's like the other team runs back a punt on them. They're like, Clappy's like, come on, let's go. It's like,
Okay. And the last one at 10 Eastern, Chiefs at Ravens in a pick'em, over under 63.5.
well, they played this game this year, and the Ravens won.
I'll go with the Chiefs.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
Yeah,
I'll go Chiefs.
I like Chiefs as well.
All right. Well, that concludes today's show. I know we had
No, 2 more. I got 2. I'm going to do 2 quick. I have Columbus at the Islanders in hockey. I'm going to take the Islanders minus the 1.5. So take the Islanders on the puck line over Columbus. And then we got the Jets at Vancouver. I'm going to take the Jets on the money line. And in that Jets game, I'm also taking Wheeler to score the very first goal of the game at plus 1,100.
There you have it.
Cool.
All right, that wraps up today's show. If you guys have any topics you want us to cover or you don't want us to cover, by all means, shoot me an email, mitch@pickdogs.com, or post it in the Facebook group. Just working on some things, and it's like the reason why I'm kind of looking all over the place today is that I just got like 6 different things going on in front of me. I'm just trying to get used to it. Tomorrow, I'm going to try and bring in my graphics machine, and we'll see how we can really screw this thing up. All right, have a great day, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoyed it, and maybe tomorrow
We're going to all have fake mustaches? You're going to have a little fake mustache?
Oh, my. I did. Remember, what was it? 3 years ago? I did Movember. No, that had to have been like 5 years ago. I had like my worst handicapping in the history of Novembers. I did the Movember thing, the mustache, and my hair color, like obviously I don't have any now, but my hair color is generally so light blonde that you can't even see it for the first 3 weeks. You can only see it like the last 4 days of the month, and it was like, I just got assassinated. Like on my picks. I'm like, I am never, ever, It's like, it had nothing to do with my picking. It was the damn mustache. And it was like, all those day after Thanksgiving games. It was like the worst, man. I was like so mad. It was like, oh man, Thanksgiving Day, It was like, I had a few wins here and there, but it was like never, ever. It was definitely my worst November I ever had. Movember. A Movember to remember.
Movember to remember.
All right, I'll see everyone tomorrow. It's like...
You got it. I got to jump. I'll see you, boys.
See you guys.